Okay, so I got myself a Samsung S25 Ultra, and lately I am shooting all my family portraits and videos just exclusively with this, leaving behind my Sony A7S III and III with bright lenses at home and carrying just my phone. Well, I went out to understand if this is actually true and if I can make a comparison between a 5-year-old mirrorless camera with a bright lens and the new iteration of a flagship smartphone, the Samsung S25 Ultra. So we shall be getting outside, shooting a lot of stuff and understand if we can get along and using this exclusively for your home professional video shooting experience. We are outside in this slightly shadowy situation, comparing the Sony A7S III with Viltrox f1.2 extremely bright 35mm lens. On the other side, we are using the Samsung S25 Ultra in portrait mode, 4K 30 frames per second. We can see clearly that the Samsung does a great job exposing everything, applying the portrait mode and generally having an overall perfect exposure on the face. The Sony A7S III with the 35mm f1.2 at f1.2 delivers an unprecedented amount of background blur and smoothness. The background separation is clearly on point with no missed focus and visibly extremely sharp. The colors are slightly to the warmer tones due to the ND filters on top of my lens and a slightly warmer color rendering of the Sony A7S III. Both the Samsung and the Sony are set on auto white balance. Looking at these other shots for the Samsung S25 Ultra portrait mode, we see some struggles in the actual contours of my body, when the S25 Ultra is struggling to cut myself out from the background and missing it for a perfect cutout for the blurry background that's actually pretty far away. The closest thing is approximately 100 meters from me. In the other hand, we are clearly seeing the true masterpiece of a high-end mirrorless camera and an ultra-fast lens. Even if this camera is 5 years old already, it smashes the new smartphone releases with ease. Let's go straight to an 85mm comparison. Going to an 85mm f1.4 lens, we can clearly and truly appreciate what means for the Samsung S25 Ultra being completely destroyed in every single possible way. But there is always a but. If I would just show you the footage from the Samsung S25 Ultra, well, you could go completely fine even for a professional video shoot and you wouldn't understand clearly if this was shot on a mirrorless camera, professional camera, or just a smartphone. And this is why it's important to understand what is what in the film industry. The log mode in the Samsung S25 Ultra is extremely capable, and comparing it to the Sony A7S III, I'm really impressed with the result that I got from it, and pretty surprised too. The complete footage is extremely well balanced and the color grading potential is not bad at all. One thing that I would not consider using portrait mode are fast moving scenarios. There are mostly hit and miss situations, me trying to film my kids doing a small bike tricks. We are not there yet, because you get the blur working around the object, sometimes in front of the object and sometimes in the back and sometimes both. So this is good for some scenarios, but not for all. The Sony A7S III fast autofocus destroyed it. When comparing the photo portrait mode on the Samsung S25 Ultra to an ultra fast lens, we can see a great example of the actual advancement in AI. The pictures look pretty great, with an overall great cutout of the person and a great background separation. Something that is not great is the background having the same amount of blur even if some objects are pretty much more distant than the others. And this is it because the complete footage is AI represented on the S25 Ultra. And the S25 Ultra doesn't have a depth measuring system, so the distance of the objects are actually represented by the AI processing unit inside of the S25. But the portrait picture of S25 Ultra looks pretty great for all my portrait needs when shooting outside, my family, or actually doing some more professional portrait shoots. This will be completely fine. Not perfect, but we are close to that. So what we have learned from a not so scientific test. This is an extremely capable smartphone, nowhere near capable as a 5-year-old Sony A7S III highly video spec oriented camera. But this is a great example of where we are here right now in the middle of 2025. If you have any questions, feel free to comment down below. I will be happy to answer to all them. Until my next one, thumbs up if you liked it, subscribe with the bell icon to get notified every time I make a new video, and see you on my next one.